Religion teaches you if you get just right, then God will love you. God made it plain and clear. 1 John 4:9-10 says, this is how God showed his love among us. He sent his one and only Son into the world that we might live through him. This is love, not that we loved God, but that he loved us and sent his Son as an atoning sacrifice for our sins. You see, the sacrifice of Jesus Christ was not an incidental issue, but the central core of God's message to us, because it represents who God is and what God's all about. His willingness to sacrifice himself for us made it plain, made it clear that we could do nothing to earn his love. But his love was a gift. His love was a desire that we would respond to that love. That love is what makes us alive. He sent his Son that we could live through him. He came to heal. He came to restore. He came to love in such a way. He did not come into the world to condemn, but to save. And you and I must recognize it in that front, because why? Jesus was asked this question one day. What's the most important thing to God? Because people attempt to figure it out on their own. But one day, top religious leaders came to Jesus. They asked this question, what's most important to God? And here's the way they asked it. What's the greatest commandment? If you're taking notes, listen, this is what you need to understand. The most important thing to God is relationships. Because Jesus answered when he was asked that, he said, to love the Lord your God with all of your heart, soul, mind, and strength, and to love your neighbor as yourself. When Jesus was asked, what's most important to God? He said, what is most important to God is relationships. But he couldn't answer it with one thing. Because when you realize God cares about our relationship with him, but it doesn't end there. And our relationship with one another. You see, what was important to God, we got to get the order correct. Because before you can love others, it is important that you learn to be loved by God and to love in return. Jesus put it in that order. Why? Because why can we not love others? Because we're unable in our own to love others adequately. Why? Because Jesus said to love others as you love yourself. The only way you can properly love yourself is to understand the love of God for you first. Because it's God that establishes our value. It is God that demonstrates to us what true love is really all about.